So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the DUP and the Brexiteers failing to get the Northern Ireland Protocol overturned in the Northern Ireland courts, the High Court in Northern Ireland. Really embarrassing here from these guys. All of them massive bunch of jokers, as if they tried this. As if you think the EU and the UK would sign up to an agreement that wasn't, that was illegal essentially. Like, what were you guys thinking? You've just wasted a ton of money. I don't know who funded these legal challenges, but I bet you guys feel real stupid now. And the worst thing is they're going to the UK Supreme Court as well, so they're going to waste even more money doing this. This is phenomenal stuff here. So the High Court in Belfast has thrown out a legal challenge to the Northern Ireland Brexit Protocol. There's some of this stuff is legalese, which generally I don't really understand that much, so we'll try and avoid some of it. But the top and bottom of the story is that they tried to challenge the Northern Ireland Protocol in court, arguing about the 1800 Acts of Union and stuff like that, and the judge said, "Get out! No, I'm not having that. Leave." This is great here. The High Court in Belfast has thrown out a legal challenge to the Northern Ireland Brexit Protocol. The ruling is a setback for the applicants, including the DUP, and a relief for the UK and EU negotiators who are planning to announce a package of new arrangements later on Wednesday. I don't think there was ever in doubt that the courts would throw this out, because this is just ridiculous. This is honestly shocking, and we have spoken about I think we should have spoken about how the EU are promising to be more flexible with regards to the Northern Ireland Protocol, but have asked the UK to hold up their side of the bargain. So that's going to be interesting to see the specifics of that, but we'll get there when the time comes. So Mr. Justice Colton refused a judicial review, rejecting the argument of the DUP and others that the protocol breached the 1800 Acts of Union, declaring that much constitutional water has passed under the bridge since then. And the idea that an Act of Parliament that happened in 1800 couldn't be repealed by an Act of Parliament that happened today is just ridiculous. Delivering the judgment, Colton agreed with the applicants that the Brexit Withdrawal Act conflicted with the 1800 Acts of Union, but he ruled that the latter legislation included the protocol overrode the provisions of the 200-year-old law, as they in effect repealed part of the Acts of Union, that Parliament can repeal Acts of Parliament that happened under a previous Parliament. If say, for example, you had a slavery was passed in Parliament, say in the year 1850, right? Parliament today could easily could repeal that. Parliament obviously did repeal acts of slavery that happened. So to make the argument that you can't repeal an act of Parliament via an act of Parliament doesn't make sense. Delivering the judgment, we mentioned that. He said, while the protocol conflicts with the Acts of Union, subsequent treaties such as the withdrawal agreement with the EU was a prerogative power over which the courts had little oversight. So he's saying this isn't an issue for the judiciary. That's not going to stop these lunatics. In a lengthy judgment, he went out to dismiss 4 other grounds for a judicial review. These are quite legalese, so we'll skip these. But the point being is that he rejected these outright. Significantly, Justice Colton, determined that the 1800 Acts of Union and the Brexit withdrawal legislation were both laws of a constitutional character, but said his role was to rule on which one should prevail in law. So he's not making the constitutional argument. He's just saying this is how the law should be. The judge said a starting point based on fundamental legal principle was that the most recent legislation should take precedence. So given the fact that the Northern Ireland Protocol was much more recent, that will be given precedent over the 1800 Act of Union. So, I don't know what kind of arguments that these people made when it came to their legal challenge, but I doubt they were that great, honestly. So he said there was no legal precedent whereby the Acts of Union had operated to nullify subsequent Acts of Parliament. So this idea that, the Act of Union could get rid of, future Acts of Parliament simply didn't make sense and was never going to happen. The High Court had been asked to decide whether to allow a full-scale judicial review of the law agreed in January 2020 by the EU and UK as part of Boris Johnson's oven-ready Brexit package put to voters in 2019. The court said there was a real issue in relation to the delay. He said that this legal challenge should have happened within about 3 months of this thing being passed, but that didn't happen. So he said the court said there'd been a real issue in relation to the delay in bringing the case, given the text of the protocol was agreed and published on October 2019 and ratified on on the 29th of January 2020. The reason why these people didn't bring that legal challenge is because they needed the withdrawal agreement to be passed so then their Brexit could happen. That's why they didn't do legal challenge at this time, and that would have made passing this Act of Parliament more precarious if there was already a court a judicial review or a court challenge going into it before the act was even passed. So the court said, in those circumstances, any challenge should arguably have been brought within 3 months of the agreement being ratified, but that the case had been brought 15 months later because these people thought this was their best port of call now, given that Brexit has happened, this thing has passed, etc. However, the court has said that the substance of the challenges and not the delay that determined its ruling. So the court is saying that, look, even if you brought this thing 3 months after it was agreed to, I still would have come up with the same ruling. He's saying, but he just said that be quicker in future if you're going to do stupid stuff like this. So Ben Habib, very, very not bright guy. One of the applicants said the detail of the judgment showed the protocol tramples all over the Constitution. I mean, sure, but Acts of Parliament can change parts of the Constitution, so that's just ridiculous. The Prime Minister's proverbial clothes have been removed by this judgment. I mean, that's another odd statement. The faux intellectual once again strikes. The government must now address how it plans to square its many claims about the integrity of the UK. This is something I agree with, actually, funnily enough, that the government has to back up its claims it made about the integrity of the UK and this union-busting protocol, that the government has to address the lies that it told prior to the Northern Ireland Protocol being passed. Not only is the integrity of the union compromised, but so is that of the Medacuous, that's how you pronounce it, administration. So he's taken a massive shot at the Conservative government, saying that, yeah, okay, fine, we've lost this legal challenge, but you're going to have to explain the statements that you made about the Northern Ireland Protocol and the lies that you said, and which is, interestingly enough, something I actually agree with Ben Habib, which is probably one of the few things we agree with, apart from maybe you need oxygen to live. So yeah, essentially these people failed in their legal challenge. They're probably going to fail in the Supreme Court, which is going to be even more embarrassing because that's going to be a court within the UK, within GB, the highest court in the land, telling them to get out, just like this court in Belfast has done. This is embarrassing, to be honest with you, that these people had supported, the withdrawal agreement and all this stuff, now trying to come out against it because now they've understood the consequences and they don't like it. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.